What's up, everybody, and welcome to ESO Daily. I am your host, Mr. Craven. Alright, guys, so I'm having problems getting in to my game at the moment because it keeps crashing. You'd send me back to the character screen. I mentioned this yesterday, still doing it, but today I actually wanted to do a video. I've been doing MMOs for 20 years, guys. Almost 21 now, 21 years. And the thing that really pisses me off is when you get these younger people that want to talk about best in slot, and they don't really understand the terminology behind best in slot, right? And for hardcore MMOers, now I was a former elitist, and in this game, I really loved this game. This is Rift. I played Rift for years. My MMO starts back to UO, but I did EverQuest, EverQuest 2, World of Warcraft. I did Vanguard. I did Star Wars Galaxies. These are all the hardcore ones. I played KOTOR. I didn't really like KOTOR's progression system. PvP was really cool, but there was a lot of things in KOTOR I didn't like, but I did play that. I also played Tabula Rasa. I played Silk. I played just a slew. DCUO, I played a lot of them. Just City of Heroes, City of Villains, the list goes on and on and on. But the thing about it is, I played this game for a long time, and in this game at one time I was pretty hardcore. I was pretty friggin' elite. And we always talked about best in slot. In most class-based games, we have what they call best in slot, which is typically the highest you can get. Alright, so in Elder Scrolls we have what we call a sandbox gear system. Meaning every class, it's still a class-based system, but it doesn't have a true linear progression in comparison to a game like this. I always reference this type of game. Now, I loved Rift. I'm not going to sit here and bash on Rift. But what I'm going to tell you is why you don't want a BIS system implemented in Elder Scrolls, and why you guys should be actually thankful there isn't in that sense. Now, it's true that best in slot leads you in one direction, because I'm just going to simplify all this for you. Okay, I'm going to get into, in this we can actually purchase up until, with our tokens, we can purchase our equipment. They made it easier so we didn't have to keep jumping from vendor to vendors, from raid vendors, because they were in different parts of the map, so they just kind of made it accessible by this, the Rift store. Certain ones are purchasable by money, but it's not a pay to win, because your last tier or your best in slot is not accessible through money. You actually still have to earn it, so you can't do whatever. Now I'm going to go ahead and scale this up to 70, because that's maxed. I'm only at 67 right now. But I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to scroll down here and show you guys what I mean. Okay, this is what we call our first tier gear, is your introduction gear that you can get. Now, obviously, you don't see that you can't buy it. You actually have to go ahead and use your marks, your celestial remnants. Now, if you go ahead and take a look down here, like, for example, I have 23,000 void, I have fragments of darkness, I have 4,155 celestial remnants. And when you do content, you earn tokens, and that's how you purchase your gear. Now, you can get drop gear, and drop gear does have an equal value to your tier gear, but this is what we call first tier, just opening shit to get you into your beginning shit. You go to expert, right? This is the next tier up, right? Now, as you guys can see, this is all cloth. The system already knows I'm a mage. It's not going to throw in plate. It's not going to throw in medium armor. It's going to throw in my progressive gear. It's designed to do that. So this is what we call it's farming. You have to keep farming from one tier to the next tier to the next tier. That's what it means to be best in slot, is progression. It's a game's progression system, and it is a grind like a bitch. It's a hefty. You think farming in Elder Scrolls is bad? If you're an old school gamer, I literally used to raid for 6 hours on resets per character. Like on, except this game. That was in World of Warcraft, EverQuest, and this game's not too bad, except Hammer Nail, HK. HK we could get done in about 3 hours. full HK run if we had everything primed. That was really hard back then. I haven't done any raiding in a while, so well, whatever. But this is the next progression up. You go down. There is, you know, your raid gear, LFR. That's a raid. This is your raid gear in that raid. Now here's the thing. You start seeing stats go up because it's progressive, right? Look at the difference in my intelligence. Look at my difference in my endurance, my hit. My hit is what I need to get into content, right? Now that's LFR. Now look, okay. So we're going to take a look at the sash, for example, 818. We go down. Is that a sash? Yeah. Okay, 1001. So there's a huge jump. But as you can see, it says tier. It says specifically tier. Tier 2. Tier 3. That's favor. That's PvP. So this used to be tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. And you would have to upgrade your gear to get the best in slot, right? So you would go from one aspect of content to another aspect of content to another aspect of content, upgrading your gear as you go, and that is why we called it best in slot. Because if you said I have best in slot, that means you're capped on, or you have the piece that you need that you can, it's the top piece in the game. Period, done, over with. There's nothing like that in Elder Scrolls. Zero. Nothing. Because everybody's going to say, well, this gives you the most, this gives you the most. Well, it depends. It depends on your build, your layout, your class. All these are different variables, and that's how Elder Scrolls has maintained sandbox format, and it actually gives your build flexibility, and that's what I think that's what keeps me playing to the game, is because I see it for what it is, and I know that, so I don't set my expectations to be like, if you run every trial in Elder Scrolls, even every set, the first 4 are usually comparable. Like if you take War Machine, or yeah, well, let's take Alkosh in Vicious Fidian. Put them side by side. They have the first 4 stats the same, right? They have it. It's comparable. It's complete. So what's the best in slot? Is it based on the 5th? You know, where's the progression at? I mean, how do you go from a best in slot? You know, are you going to sit there and say, okay, well, this update, Julianus is best in slot and Twiceborn Star isn't? Well, it depends on what you're doing with the applications, because at least Twiceborn Star has more flexibility to it. So you can't sit there and literally say that that set is going to apply to all classes in every scenario. It's just not the way it is. And in a game like Rift and World of Warcraft and EverQuest 2, we have best in slot because of the linear progression. We have diminishing returns, but we can't control them in this game. The devs completely control the diminishing effects. The only thing we can go ahead and do is be aware of how the stats are affecting our macros and our rotation. So those, and our rotations are based on skill, and those will have diminishing effects based on those parameters. So this is one thing that I really like. It always burns my ass when somebody wants to talk about best in slot. And trust me, guys, if you've never played a game like World of Warcraft or EverQuest 2 or EverQuest or anything with a progression system, you don't want best in slot setup. You don't. You don't. It's a farm fest. It's and when people say, oh, well, you have to farm, I've been in vet DSA and I'm still trying to get ideal trait. That's ideal trait. Man, I literally spent 2 weeks in Karazhan on multiple tunes. Didn't get one piece, not one flipping piece of a gear I needed on multiple tunes. And spending 2 weeks in Karazhan on multiple tunes. I mean, you could, once you complete it, you can't redo it. That's another thing that Elder Scrolls has advantage of. So you have weekly lockouts, right? So if I was to go in a raid in this game and I complete its content, I'm locked out till next week. So, raid resets Thursdays on Rift, or Wednesday night, whatever, so after midnight. But Thursday is your raid reset. And when you actually come in, from that point on, you can get the content within that week. And then the next, if you complete it. So say if I complete it on Thursday, I'm locked out till next Thursday. I can't redo it. In Elder Scrolls, we can. And that's kind of the luxury that we have in Elder Scrolls. But this is what keeps players playing these type of games right here because of those restrictions. And even though there are other ways to earn your currency. So if I go down here, but if I go into currency, right, guys, I can pretty much, like, it will tell me how much I can still earn for the week, right? So I can literally go into equipment, and I can go back into armor. And when I go down here, it'll see your max is 40,000 more of your weekly max earned. I can only earn 40,000 void stones per week. There's multiple ways to get void stones, but I can only earn up to a 40,000. Once I exceed that, I can't earn anymore. That's why you don't want best in slot system. You just don't. You do not want a best in slot system in Elder Scrolls. So I always tell people, get it out of your mindset of BIS. Those guys don't, to me, it's an insult as an MMOer that they don't know what a best in slot really is. They don't get best in slot. They're going to say that this is the best set gear in the game. I'm not going to say that there isn't gear that's going to get you better numbers, but to compare it and say that's the best period, you can't get any better on a stat sheet when you're looking at stats, that's bullshit. Because everything in an MMO revolves around your stat sheet. It's always going to be that way, right? It's always going to be. And best in slot progresses your stat sheet and what your abilities are going to do. So I'm always going to tell people, man, it's more mathematical in Elder Scrolls. You have to pay attention. But each class is going to have different results. And, of course, people are going to say, well, is this best in slot for this class? And that's debatable, man, because we have in different curves also in Elder Scrolls. And we can see that depending on which munduses we take versus which gear sets we're needing. And to me, it's never going to be a clear-cut indication of saying, you know, time and time again, that's what I've proven in this game, in Elder Scrolls, that you can get around certain things. It's flexible. It has a lot of flexibility. There's a lot of things you can run. You can run without proc sets. You can run proc sets. You're going to lose base damage based on proc, running a proc set. But you're going to get a lot of different effects because of the flexibility. So, once again, guys, I'm going to tell you, man, do not wish for Abyss. Don't wish for Abyss. We don't have a best in slot in this game. Does not exist. It's bullshit. It should be, you know, these players are full of fucking bullshit is what they are. Been doing this for fucking too long, and I'll tell you, any hardcore MMO is going to tell you this game is not fucking has a best in slot, because you guys don't know what best in slot is. Best in slot is a linear progression. We don't have it, and trust me, guys, you don't want it. All right? But if you have any questions or comments, please post below. I want to thank everybody for watching today. I'm sorry I'm not in game. I'm trying to resolve this problem, but it's just finicky. The system, I got to play to the system. I'm not trying to play Rift at the moment, but it definitely gave me an opportunity. I always come back to this game when I'm in between things, because for me, I have a lot of fun. This was probably one of the first games that when I came here, it cut my raid time significantly, and I always appreciate Tryon for that. I have a good rapport with the developers at Tryon. Thank you guys at Tryon. I appreciate everything you've done for me throughout the years, especially testing and having access to some of these really cool things that you guys have done in the past. I appreciate it. But yeah, guys, I'm telling you, man, just questions, comments, post below. I want to thank everybody for watching, and once again and always, have a nice day.